Bladed trainer season continues, and today we're comparing two popular models, the Hoka Mach X3 with the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Flash 3. What's up everybody, I'm Eric McIntyre, aka Rad Dad Bod, and you're watching Rad Dad Bod TV, where we review running shoes. If it's your first time watching my videos, you may notice some timestamps below, so feel free to jump around to the various parts of this comparison, but if you do so, I'd sure appreciate if you come back, watch the full thing when you get a sec, because I put a lot of time and effort into these videos. Now, quick disclaimers and disclosures, I did receive both of these shoes for free for the purpose of review. For the Mach X3, I received it through WeViews, where I am an active multi-tester contributor. However, I am not paid at all through Hoka whatsoever. And with the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Flash, I received it directly from the brand. Regardless of how I received the shoes, I'm never given talk tracks, talking points, anything along those lines. No one gets to watch the videos beforehand. In fact, even with my affiliation with WeViews, these videos have nothing to do with them. That is simply as a writer. As such, all thoughts are entirely my own. With that out of the way, let's talk about the intended use of these two shoes. Now, the plated trainer category is a speed dedicated category. For the most part, I would say that plated trainers are supposed to be the faster option between the plated trainers and the super trainers. Super trainers are supposed to be more of the long run workout shoe, or sometimes threshold oriented shoe. That being said, these are supposed to be versatile enough to handle a variety of paces, and that's how we're going to be comparing them today. Now, from a price perspective, the Mach X3 comes in at $190, which, if I'm not mistaken, places it as the most expensive of plated trainers on the market. Meanwhile, the Wave Rebellion Flash 3 comes in at $180, which is also a little bit expensive for the category. I think that the sweet spot is $170 to $175 for the most part, and once you get above that, you are paying a little bit of premium compared to the competition. As such, I'm not really sure why Hoka chose to price the Mach X3 at that $190 mark. That being said, it is what it is. If you like the shoe, then it's probably going to be worth it to you. Now, from a specs perspective, the Flash comes in at 8.6 ounces, which is 243 grams. Meanwhile, the Mach X3 comes in at 10.2 ounces and 289 grams. That's not necessarily heavy, but it is a decent amount heavier than some of the others in category, and it is still on the heavier end. From a stack perspective, the Mach X3 comes in at 46 in the heel, 41 in the forefoot for a 5mm drop, and the Flash comes in at 37.5 in the heel, 34.5 in the forefoot for a 3mm drop. But something tells me, because that was the Mizuno measurement versus the Running Warehouse measurement, I do think that once independently measured by Running Warehouse, we're going to see that the Flash is actually significantly taller than originally listed. Now, from a fit perspective, I would say that both of them have narrow midfoots for the most part, and I think they're about the same in the width, to be honest. From a length perspective, I would say that both fit true to size lengthwise. I would not half size up or down for these two. And then the heel and toe box, I would say, are standard on both as well. So fit is pretty similar overall between the two shoes. Now, moving to the uppers, the Mach X3 has a warp knit upper, which is, you know, it's fairly comfortable overall. And I think it feels a little bit more like a daily training upper than some of the others in this category, right? So you have the warp knit, you have a fairly cushioned tongue. I'd say that's like bordering like mid-weight tongue. You have, I would same thing, like a light to mid cushion. In fact, I'd say probably standard mid cushion there in the heel. And it makes it very, very comfortable, but I do feel like it adds pretty significant weight, right? I think that Hoka was potentially overcompensating for the Mach X2, which had more of a race-like upper. And I guess maybe ironically or coincidentally, the Mach X2 and the Wave Rebellion Flash 2 both had kind of a plasticky upper, which was a little bit uncomfortable, right? The Wave Rebellion Flash 3 also changed the upper to an engineered mesh, which is a little bit more daily trainer-esque, but less so than the Mach X3. You still have a thin tongue right there. You have some light cushion in the heel. Neither of them have a gusseted tongue, which I don't understand, but at least they have a little bit more snug midfoot, which leaves lockdown feeling really, really good between the two. I don't feel like I slip around in either shoe. Now, the Mach X3, I feel like the heel lockdown is not amazing, but it gets the job done. You may want to consider the runner's knot. But both of these uppers, again, really funny that they both kind of moved a little bit more towards daily training uppers, with the Flash 3 maintaining a little bit more of the speed DNA, where the Mach X3 went almost full just comfort, right? Now, underfoot, the Mach X3 has a PIBA-based foam midsole, and you do have a carbon fiber plate that runs through the shoe. You also have on the outside here, it's actually going to be, I believe, an EVA kind of carrier foam. So this outer shell here is EVA, and then inside here you have PIBA, and then you have the plastic plate that runs through. I think it's technically a Pebax plate, which is a type of plastic. Right, the Wave Rebellion Flash 3 has the Mizuno Energy XP TPEE foam up top. Then you have the firmer nitrogen infused EVA on bottom. So both have an EVA carrier or EVA base, but you have TPEE versus PIBA. And then you have a nylon plate here, which again is similar in structure to a plastic or Pebax plate. So similar overall setups. I will say that the TPEE in my mind is a lot bouncier, a lot more responsive. The PIBA is nice, but more and more brands are moving to ATPU, TPEE as their premium racing foams, just because it does seem like they're a little bit softer, a little bit bouncier, a little bit more resilient, right? So between these two, I feel like the Wave Rebellion Flash 3 can go significantly faster. It has an extra gear, where I feel like the Mach X3, while very comfortable, very fun, and is capable of picking up, I think feels best at more of that tempo pace. And between the two, I will say it's significantly more stable and one of the most stable plated trainer options on the market. You have the winged plate as well, so it kind of comes up. I do feel like it gives a little bit of that extra stability, while the Wave Rebellion Flash 3 actively rolls you in and pushes you in, just with the geometry and the lack of a heel, right? So I think if you want stability, a little bit, like still soft, but a little bit firmer base structure, Mach X3 is the way to go. If you want responsiveness, snap, bouncy, fun, but unstable, Flash 3 is where you go. Now, from an outsole perspective, the Flash has a durable rubber outsole. I think it's the X10 rubber, but I haven't been able to confirm that. And then the X3 has a zonal rubber, same kind of outsole, same exact outsole, to be honest, that was on the Mach X2. And I think similar to what was on the Cielo X1 as well. So both outsoles get the job done. I lean a little bit more towards the Mizuno X10 rubber outsole. I think Mizuno has a better overall rubber compound, but I really like the rubber, and I like that like Hoka tends to put a decent amount of coverage on their shoes, which is nice because sometimes race shoes really cut down in that area and don't provide full coverage, and then they can become really, really slick when wet. So I think both of these shoes really get the job done from an outsole perspective. Now, as far as my pick, I like the Mach X3, but as far as like looking in category, I think I lean towards the Flash 3, just because the Flash 3 gives me a little bit more speed, and I can still take it on kind of that tempo on those moderate paces where I don't have to fight to slow down. Now, if you don't have if you have stability needs, it's not even an option. Like, you can't have this in the conversation. But if you have strong lower leg muscles and you know, ankles, arches, everything, like, then I do think the Flash 3 should be the obvious choice for most people, just from a versatility and responsiveness standpoint, right? If you're using this for dedicated speed work. The exception to this, where even if you have strong lower limbs but you just need something to churn the corners a little bit better on a track, I could see the Mach X being the option there. But I do find that the Mach X3 is just better at the moderate. While you can pick up, I find myself pushing a little bit harder to pick up, but it's very smooth, very comfortable, very fun in that moderate space. So I think that's where it belongs most. I want a little bit more speed in my plated trainers, and that's why I'm going with the Flash 3. So just some final thoughts though. Both of these shoes really, really good. I don't love the price point, to be honest, for both of them. You know, I think that the Flash 3 should come down at least $5, and the Mach X3, I just don't know why they charged $190. And the Mach X line, to be clear, has always been a little bit high when compared to the category. So I'm not sure the justification of that, but you know, we'll see. I'm curious with the Mach X4 if they're going to mix it up, because the Mach X3 was just literally a new upper. I would like to see them give the race-like upper another chance, but just fix the heel, because if you know, you know, that was the major issue with the Mach X2. But the underfoot ride was fun. I think give us a little bit more PIBA, or try out some new foam, some new compounds. I don't think that we need as much control as was given, but maybe, you know, Hoka is a brand known for comfort. Hoka is a brand known to be able to give you that support, so maybe that's the rationale there. I'd like to see them let a little bit loose like they did with the Cielo X1 2.0 though, give us a little bit more aggressive, give us a little bit more bounce, a little bit more fun, and I think you're gonna have a shoe that fits right there in the top tier of the plated trainers. Meanwhile, Mizuno is innovating left and right. One of my favorite brands of the year. They're absolutely crushing it. So if you watched this far, let me know in the comments what questions you have, what I could be doing better as a reviewer to make these more entertaining for each and every one of you, and what other comparisons you'd like to see moving forward as I'm continually filming, continually making comparisons, and oftentimes I get the comparisons from my comments. So, and also if you watch this far and you haven't hit that subscribe button, please consider doing so today. Turn on those notifications so you get notified every time I drop a new video. Hit that like button, leave a comment, let me know what you enjoyed. But for now, we're gonna wrap up, leaving you with a question, which is, what kind of upper do you prefer on a speed-oriented shoe? Something a little bit more daily trainer-esque or more race-like? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks, everybody.